As fantastic a CFP as Mel O is, as wonderful an attorney as I am, and as good as Stormy is at whatever it is he does, please do note that anything said in our podcasts are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, Stormy Andrews, founder of Yokel Local Marketing, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, and today we are having a little bit of a bonus podcast going on. A lot of you might have remembered our original podcast, or our debut podcast was on the Fyre Festival, the documentary on Netflix about basically the greatest party that never was. And we had a long discussion about that. We've also had another episode on the podcast where we actually discussed why the fuck music festivals cost so much and a lot of the expenses that go into them and some of the most successful festivals and things like that. Well, just here over the last weekend or so, we had another big festival that actually had a little bit of a hang up. And you're going to be hearing from my friend Marianne. Full disclosure, we've been besties since preschool. So she had the pleasure to go to the Epicenter concert, and we're just going to talk a little bit about it. Can you hear me okay, Marianne?
Absolutely. Can you hear me good?
I can. So, okay, read a lot of stuff about it was Epicenter, correct?
Yes. It used to be Carolina Rebellion that they held in Charlotte, North Carolina. This time it was in Rockingham, North Carolina, kind of a new place out in the middle of nowhere, untried, untested, and we tested it out for them.
I was going to say, so tell me, so the festival was priorly known as Carolina Rebellion, which is very successful, which you visited multiple times. And then it was moved to Rockingham, North Carolina. And so tell me about that experience. Go ahead and give me like a play-by-play.
Well, it's a very small town. If you ever look at it on the map, there's really only one road. It's just a 2-lane going through, down through the town. There used to be an old drag strip there, old racetrack, and that's where it was held on the grounds outside of this racetrack in Rockingham. We showed up there Thursday night to the hotel, which was 20 miles away because outside of this town, there's literally nothing out there.
So real quickly, so from what I'm reading, that was one of the things that they had discussed is that even though the town of Rockingham, which they did say was a small town, that the amenities were not built for anything of this size. And so did you guys stay 20 miles away because the hotels that were closer were sold out, or because that was the closest hotel?
The town was called Aberdeen where we stayed. And that was as close as we could get. And that was actually with civilization. They had, a Buffalo Wild Wings, a Waffle House, and a Cracker Barrel, and a Walgreens and a CVS. And I guess that's really all you need.
Okay. All right. Because it's very interesting. And we'll come back to this after you kind of tell us a little bit about your story. But one of the things that they were talking about is the amenities that need to go into. And in one of our prior episodes, when we were talking about rock festivals, the township / cityship or whatever it is actually gets a portion of all of the tickets that are sold as kind of like further slicing of the profit dollars. And there's a big dispute going on right now in Rockingham from if any of you guys are from the South, and I'm not sure if you are, but I am from the South, and obviously Marianne is from the South. And there is kind of a good old boy, old school network that is still there. And there is some group of people in Rockingham, North Carolina, that are just downright pissed off that the festival even happened. Of course, but the city is saying, no, we need more of this because, again, this comes into their coffers and it helps, improvements and things like that. So sorry to jump in. Go ahead.
No, do it. Yeah, so we got there Thursday night, and we're in a town 20 miles away. So we've got to go out to eat and got to kind of see around a little bit where we're going to be at. And we get there on Friday, which is around noon or so. We attempt to get there around noon or so.
When was the concert supposed to actually start?
It was supposed to start around between noon and 2 on Friday. So
Okay.
it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
So we get there Thursday night. Try to get to the event, and there is a lot of traffic, but there's only one road that goes past the speedway, and that is Road 1 from Rockingham to Aberdeen. You can look at it on the map. So we come in from the north side, and we're telling we had VIP tickets. First year we ever had VIP tickets.
And so how much did the VIP tickets cost, if you don't mind me asking?
Total, because I got them actually on the pre-sale. I got my butt up early in the morning. I'm second shift. That's a big deal to me. For two people, VIP accommodations for the weekend was $1,670.72.
Okay, was that all concert? Was that for the
No,
festival?
that was for hotel as well.
Okay, so how much was just the festival tickets?
Festival tickets, I'm not sure because I got the package, but for the regular, it depends on when you got them.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could get them at the pre-sale, I believe. General admission tickets started at around $149 for the weekend plus fees.
Okay, was that per day?
No, that
That's
was
just the
the
whole
weekend.
thing. Okay, all right.
And then it only goes up from there, which I have an email stating, you have left something in your cart. Please purchase it now. Prices are only going to go up, which turned out that wasn't exactly true because they ended up selling them for $1 for a day about 2 weeks prior to the event taking place.
So, and I had heard about this, and from a financial standpoint, this is very interesting because it's 2 weeks before it's supposed to actually, the festival's supposed to pop off, and they offer so $1 each day, so a total of $3, I'm assuming, plus fees for the festival. So, how
No,
did you get that? Huh?
no fees. It was straight up $1 a day.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
so $1 a day, all fees in. So how, have already purchased your VIP package, how did you actually get that information that they were selling them for $1 now?
Because a lot of us talk to each other on social media now. So we were able to get access to that link and to verify that it was legitimate.
So you didn't hear about the dollar tickets until after?
Correct.
Till after. Okay. So I'm very curious. Was that was the link, was it posted on their website that they were offering them for $1?
It was actually, yes, it was posted on their website, on the Epicenter website. I've got screenshots of it, and the only reason I figured it out is because I'm in a group of people that go to the Rebellion every year, and we talk to each other, and that's how I figured it out.
Okay, so I'm so curious about that because, we've talked a lot about the attendance at rock festivals specifically. Obviously I'm a metalhead, you're a metalhead. I've talked about this on the podcast multiple times before. And we've talked about the ever increasing price of rock festivals. And if you remember from any of those episodes, we spoke a lot about expenses. And so I'm very curious to see why 2 weeks beforehand they actually decided to drop it to $1. Because if it was an attendance issue, that wouldn't really make a lot of sense, right? Because you might get more people in the door, but you're still not making money. So either you're going to operate in the red just to get more people there to try to pump it up, because like Coachella, the first couple years it was around, it was losing money. We spoke about that on a previous podcast. So I'm curious why they were doing $1 a ticket just to boost attendance, because it couldn't be to offset any type of cost. And so I'm very curious, and I'm also very curious why they didn't specifically let the current ticket holders know that they were charging $1. You would think if it was like, hey, this is just fun and something cool we're doing, that they would also allow the people who've already paid full price to have the knowledge to get the dollar tickets as well. But as we've talked about, companies are often greedy. So, okay, go ahead.
Final, yeah, absolutely. They wanted to increase their attendance. I'm assuming. It didn't seem like there were a lack of people there to me. There were, I estimated from some of the articles that I've read, about 35 to 40,000 people. It's a big group of people for a small town that was, to have that many people, and especially with the parking situation the first day. We found out there really was no VIP parking. We were coming in from the north side and we're trying to make a left turn into this field out behind the speedway, and which was the designated parking area for this group of people that was coming in. We had campers as well, but they had their designated camping areas to go into. So we were coming in from the north side, and the highway patrol basically told us to go to the end of the line. We could not make a left into this parking area.
So they won't let you cut across traffic.
They weren't letting us cut across traffic.
Okay.
Somebody, after they
But the hotels, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the hotels were 20 miles away in Aberdeen. So I would assume that there was a flow of people coming in from Aberdeen.
Yeah, so it was hard to gauge, which side you were coming in from. We were able to get into the line instead of having to go into the back of the line, which would have been impossible. There was a line of cars as far as the eye could see. This is one lane going north and one lane going south. Somebody was very polite and let us make a U-turn in front of them to get into this line without having to go to the back of it wherever that wherever that was. We have no idea. So we were able to get in like that, and it only took about an hour and a half. From being 20 minutes down the road, it only took an hour and a half to get into the parking area. However, we had to stop first because there was a car on its way out, because it was a one-lane road, one way in, one way out.
So just big enough for one car to pass at a time.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's interesting that you bring that up, because in the articles that I've read, they talked about the Highway Patrol of Rockingham trying to tell that the DWP. So Danny Wimmer Presents is the person, or the production company who put on Epicenter, and they were trying to tell them that their traffic plan was not working. They said that the reason why is because they wanted to make sure that they searched every single car. So is that what you found?
Absolutely not. We were not searched. We were not even asked for a
Jesus
parking pass.
Christ. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we thought we were going to be asked for a parking pass, asked for, let me see your wristbands, let me see something. None of that. It was just, hold on a minute, there's a car coming.
Okay. All right. So you get to the VIP parking, and after the traffic fiasco, and so you get into the venue, and then what happens from there?
Well, I wish we got VIP parking. There was none the first day. We parked where everybody else parked.
Did they promise you VIP parking?
I was under the impression that it was VIP parking. However, looking back on the documentation that I took screenshots of, it said dedicated VIP lanes, and I took that to mean parking. However, it meant VIP lanes to walk into the festival. So we park in the middle of this field outside this old speedway, and it takes us 40 minutes to walk in. We finally get in, and we're excited. We had missed the first couple of bands because of the situation just getting into the venue. And actually, Friday night went really well as far as the music and as far as getting to see who we wanted to see. Evanescence was fantastic, and Rob Zombie was fantastic, and Korn was fantastic. However, leaving the venue, we knew that there was going to be something else going on just because of the way it went getting in. We figured that because we were making a right as we were leaving, it might be a little easier instead of trying to make a left across, one lane of traffic that was backed up forever. But it turns out that it was a little different than we had expected. We get back out to the parking area, and we find our vehicle. There are no lights in this field. There's lights at the speedway and there are lights on the road. But where we had come in and had gone down this one lane road into this back field, if you didn't know where you're going, and thankfully I have been blessed with a good sense of direction, you're not going to find your vehicle. We met several people that could not find their vehicles until most of the people that had left.
And this was literally a field, like grass.
This is literally a field, yes.
Grass and mud and shit.
Yes, grass and mud and shit.
So then you finally make it to your car.
We finally make it to the truck. Thankfully, she has an Avalanche. My girlfriend Kristen, she has an Avalanche. Everyone was nice and orderly, because metalheads are. We like to have a good time, and we're naturally very courteous of each other because, you know, we have the same interests. And so we got to talk to our neighbors for a little while we were waiting for the traffic to move. And, you know, 2 hours later, we're still talking to our neighbors, still waiting for the people that are lined up to leave in front of us, still waiting for them to move. 2 hours they sat in front of us.
So had they, so they didn't open up any other lanes on the exit?
No, it was the same one road in and the same one road out. And you had masses of people trying to get out. It was, I like to call it the Walking Dead situation, because you had people walking around, not knowing where their vehicles are, people walking around trying to find an entrance into getting out of this field. And we had also heard that there were people who cut the fence down, people who were parked back at the back of the field. They were able to get out through a hole that someone had cut in the fence to get it out through the camping area.
Good
so
Lord.
That we were right in the middle, so we had no idea about that until I saw someone had posted it in our group that, hey, someone cut the fence down. But, you know, I'm not making a trek out there to find that out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just in case they're wrong. So I'm going to wait in this line, and we ended up waiting nearly 4 hours to get out of the parking lot.
4 hours to get out of the fucking parking lot.
They had said on the emails they sent us, any cars left after 3 a.m. will be towed. And we kind of thought that was funny. You know, if they can get in to tow us, let them.
I've never been to any event where it's taken me 4 hours to get out of anywhere ever, regardless of the size of the attendance. So that's just absolutely nuts. So what time did you guys finally actually get back to your hotel?
It was about 4:30 a.m. that we got back to the hotel.
And what time was the concert supposed to start that? Because this is now Saturday morning. So what time was the concert supposed to start on Saturday?
Gates open at noon.
Gates open at noon. Okay, so you fucking, here comes Saturday, and you get up and you trek back, and what time are you at the venue, and how's the situation going in at this time?
We actually got in there, you know, up and dressed and everything back. We were there by 3 o'clock the next day. We had missed the first couple of bands, you know, disappointed about that, but nothing you can do. As far as we just got back, and now we got to fight this traffic again. Traffic was a little bit better the second day. Seemed like they were able to get a little bit better of a handle on it as far as letting us come, those of us coming from the north side. See, most of us had no idea where we even were, you know, so we couldn't go around and get in line even if we wanted to. We're not from here. I drove 5 hours from where I live in Tennessee to get to Rockingham. So I have no idea where I'm supposed to be at. Anyway, I'm just coming down the main road. So
did they open up another road this time?
They did not, because there are no other roads. There's nothing to do. And but they let us make a left into the venue. They kind of staggered the vehicles this time and let some of us make a left and let some of them make a right. So we were able to get in better.
So that's really curious, because the thing is that you want to think, you know, a company like DWP, and if you look on on their website, they have multiple festivals, mostly all over on the East Coast and in the South, and then some kind of in the Midwest to the north by the border, and one over in California. But this is a big company, so you would think that they would have scouted out the location. And so I'm so curious to see, because a lot of times what happens is when these festivals come to town, they bring so much cash with the influx of people, you know, going to restaurants and getting hotels and drinking, of course, because you got to drink. And as a result of that, sometimes they give some of the festivals incentives, or they might give them a rock bottom price. So I'm just so curious that whoever actually would have scouted the location, knowing obviously, since this company does put on multiple festivals, would know the logistics of running a concert this big, and the infrastructure just being so poor. But okay, go ahead. So still the same road, you get into the venue, and then what happens from there?
We get in the park, in the parking area, get back in, 40-minute walk, and we have a really good time, except for now we can see the weather is starting to turn. One of the things that I wanted to say was about the drink prices. The drink prices went up from last year. We've been to the Rebellion a couple of times, and they were always around $7 or $8.
Is this for
This
beer
time
or liquor? Beer or liquor?
for liquor,
Liquor.
and
Okay.
also the beer prices with the some of the beer prices had gone up. I didn't pay too much attention to that one, but I did notice that the to get a Jack and Coke, it was $12.
Mm.
And you could also get the Metallica blackened whiskey.
Hmm.
That was $13, and the cups were actually a little bit bigger. So we just went with the bigger cup and the $13, and the Metallica whiskey was fantastic.
And the reason why that, you know, from a financial standpoint, the reason why stuff like that is telling is because there's a couple different things that read into it. There's different profit margins. You know, a beer at Carolina Rebellion was the same cup, the same beer, versus a beer here put on by the same people, which has presumably the same cup or similar, and the same liquor that's in it. And so you have to wonder, was it the corporation? We've talked a lot about how corporations run profit margins. Is it the fact that they wanted to pad their profit margin on the liquor a little bit more, or is it all of the behind the scenes stuff where maybe that specific county, being a smaller town and a little bit more conservative, might have had a little bit of restrictions or something, and so maybe they had to get some extra permits that cost them a hefty amount of money, and so they padded their profit margins. So it's not always just greed why prices go up, but a lot of times it's fucking greed. So $13 for liquor, Jesus Christ, I would have had to get fucked up at the hotel. Uh,
Yeah, and it did hinder. Usually me and my girlfriend will take about $100 a day a piece for drinks. We know that we've been to these festivals. It's what we like to do. That's our budget. And when we could give somebody a 20 for two drinks, that gives them a little tip. That gives us two drinks. That's good. But now you're shelling out. Now you've, usually only got 20s on you. So now you got to get change. Now you're wondering how you're going to give her a tip. And it did cut back on our funds
on
for
your spending.
drinking. We did not
Yep.
drink as much because it went up, and it wasn't, I know that's kind of a strange thing to say, but it wasn't an even amount. You couldn't just give her a 20 and be done with it.
Yeah, well, there's a weird breaking point, which I mean, as far as when you price stuff, and that's going to take us way down the financial rabbit hole, and we want to talk about rock music and getting fucked up. So you finally get in the venue, you can't get fucked up as much as you would like to because they had raised the prices, and so now you're in the venue. It's Saturday, you see the weather changing.
The weather is changing. We got to see a couple of the bands. We were standing over in the VIP area, which was actually pretty decent. Um, I don't have anything to compare it to. First year that we did VIP tickets, but got right in the middle of Black Label Society, really enjoying ourselves. And it was like Cindy Lou Who tripped over the cord, and all the music goes off. Everything's done, over, ended.
So the power goes out. Was Zach still singing?
Yeah, yeah. Everything
So
just,
literally, they're still playing drums and guitar, and the power is pulled. So you hear the kinking kink of the guitar, and you hear Zach singing.
and all of a sudden on the monitors, there's the message. The weather is severe. You got to evacuate. Don't push or shove. Leave orderly. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, basically.
So you got to evacuate, meaning, hey, gather your belongings or go find cover or get the fuck out.
It is they're telling us to go. Of course, we're all looking at our phones at this point in time, trying to figure out, because they do send out alerts. And if we do get reception, which was spotty in this small little town with an influx of 40,000 people, all trying to probably ping off the same tower, trying to get the message, they were telling us to not leave, but to go back to our vehicles or our RVs. But under the tents are not safe. So I'm figuring that there are going to be emergency exits open, and we were going to get to evacuate. They're telling us to evacuate. We did hang out for a little while underneath the VIP tent to see, maybe it's just going to go around. Maybe they're not going to make us leave. Maybe they're, we'll just get to hang out for a while. But no, the yellow shirts, the guys in the yellow shirts are coming over and saying, hey, you gotta leave. You gotta go back the way you came. And where we came from was through the front gates. And I was kind of concerned that, how are you going to get all of these people out of these front gates
All at
in
once.
in a timely fashion with this storm approaching? And you're telling us not to leave. You're telling us it's unsafe to be under these tents, but half of us aren't going to get back to our vehicle because it's, we're all being funneled back through the same direction we came in. There
And
should have been emergency exits.
And the thing that's hilarious about that is that the reason why they're probably doing that is because in the South, when you have thunderstorms, you have tons of lightning. And they say that the tent is not safe to be under in the event of a lightning strike or something, I would assume. Yet then they had all of these people walking out in the open, exiting
Yeah.
the grounds, right? So that's
Right.
kind of crazy. So they wanted you to sit in the car. Was there any indication that they were going to come back on? Was there any further communication, or just get the fuck out?
No, it was, we're going to take 2 hours and find out what's going to go on. They're saying, give us a moment, give us some time. We figured, okay, we're going to go head across the street again. And, they still had what was called the party zone open. So we were going to go over there. And that was where vendors had put up under canopies over at the old racetrack, which was across the street. And they were selling beer. So we'll go across the street and we'll have a beer and we'll, or, whatever. And we'll hang out for a few minutes because these storms don't usually last that long in the South. And so we hung out for probably 30 minutes or so. Yeah, there was wind. Yeah, there was rain. It was kind of ugly there for a few minutes, but then it turned out all right. And everything was a little soggier than before. But we figured they would open it back up. And we were told that there would be at least 2 hours in between them telling us to leave and anything happening, just so they could, if there was something that actually, happened with the equipment, they could fix that. As far as Saturday, whenever they canceled, they weren't letting people go back and get into their lockers. And that means phones, keys, wallets, anything that you needed to leave the venue. They said you could pick it up on Sunday. And that was one of the big things that once we realized they canceled, they couldn't get back in. They couldn't get their stuff. Ended up canceling the rest of the day. They said there was damage to equipment or a stage or something. Something got broken and that was it. We couldn't get back in. So we didn't get back in for Judas Priest, Cult, Bush, and of course everybody was there to see Tool. And yeah, there were a lot of upset people didn't see Tool.
Yeah, and that's what I was just looking at, the lineup for Saturday, and it looks like Black Label Society was right before Bush was supposed to hit the stage, and then it was exactly Bush, the Cult, Judas Priest, and Tool.
Yeah.
And Maynard is very reclusive, so Tool doesn't usually do a whole bunch of concerts like they used to, and they, so that's really unfortunate. So basically, Saturday fucks off. So then go back to the hotel. How long did it take you to get out of the parking lot Saturday night? They didn't have more lanes open because there's only one road. Were they able to expedite people faster?
They were, because a lot of us didn't want to leave. some people had left when they realized they weren't going to open the venue back up, and they weren't going to try to just push everybody back or start wherever that we were at and get in there. A lot of people left, but a lot of us just kind of milled around and hung out and spoke with the other metalheads. You know, we had people that drove from Houston to see Tool. We had people that drove from Pennsylvania, people flew in from Alaska, people from Canada. So it turned into a little bit of a party, and we were very reluctant to leave. We didn't want to go home. We just wanted to see our bands. But we ended up going home. We got back around 11 or so, 11 midnight, after, you know, talking to everybody and hanging around and you know, hoping, but, you know, that something would happen. They would miraculously say, okay, everything's fixed now. Come on back in. And so they had a little bit better with the traffic this time, because they actually staggered the people trying to get out. They had somebody. So the first night they did not have anybody. We were left to our own devices the first night. There was
nobody conducting traffic to get out.
Nothing. Nobody conducting traffic. It was just, you know,
free for all.
Southerners in their pickup trucks and cars, and, you know, we're trying, you know, everybody down here is concealed carry. Just about everybody down here is concealed carry.
Nevada's a huge concealed carry case, carry as well. Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to, you know, but everybody behaved themselves, and I was really, really pleasantly surprised by that. You know, it says a lot about people from the South, and, you know, metalheads in particular.
I'm just still so shocked that they didn't have the capacity to try to do, you know, something about the traffic situation on the exit. And one of the things that they had talked about is that in retrospect, they had too many people meandering around and hanging around, and I guess not leaving. But I'd be pretty fucking pissed if I had paid for festival tickets and the tickets say rain or shine, and then you don't open back up when your four biggest headliners getting ready to come on. Yeah, I'm probably going to stay around and get fucked up too. You know. Yeah. So how was Sunday? How was the traffic getting in Sunday? Still the same? Any better?
It was actually a lot better, because a lot of the people that we had talked to, they weren't coming back for Sunday, because Friday and Saturday had been so taxing as far as, you know, physically and emotionally. Do we want to go back in for another day of punishment? Do we really want to do this? Most of us decided yes, because we didn't come all this way for nothing. I didn't take off work. I didn't rent this car to go out of town and not give it another go. So let's do it. Some of the people were only there for Saturday. So Sunday was a lot better as far as traffic went. They actually asked us on Sunday if we had VIP passes so we could park in a VIP area. And that was nice. At least somebody cared by Sunday. But that was the only day we were ever asked.
So they did create a VIP parking area?
They created it, yes. And it was actually the same place we parked on Saturday, because we just decided we weren't going to sit in that line, and she had an avalanche and she broke bad and just drove around a barricade and parked basically wherever we wanted to.
That's so funny, because one of the things, going back to the Fyre Festival that we had talked about before, one of the things that they were doing, and this is obviously to a much lesser extent, but the Fyre Festival, because Billy McFarland was needing capital, was getting it half from venture capitalists, and he was also getting it partially from people who had bought tickets to the Fyre Festival. And they were constantly, he was coming up with new packages. Oh, you know, let's see if somebody would buy, you know, a cabana with a yacht and some bullshit for $5,000, because they needed to raise capital. And so even though obviously a VIP parking situation is not as drastic or deceptive as that, you know, you would think if you pay for a VIP package from a company that does this as a production all the time for festivals, that should have obviously scouted the area, would have already had that set up. But everybody played on Sunday, though.
Yes, everybody played on Sunday. Unfortunately, live was a little bit late, and I say a little bit. They were about 40 minutes late, and they only got to play 3 songs. But other than that, everything Sunday went off pretty much without a hitch. Foo Fighters were the headliner, and they were absolutely fantastic, spectacular. Played for more than 2 hours. I guess they knew we had a rough weekend, so they helped us out a whole lot. It was fantastic. We loved it.
Yeah, we've talked about Dave Grohl on the podcast before, and Foo Fighters, and he's just a stand-up guy. So I mean that's fantastic. So I would love at some point to try to get my hands on the like the just the financials of this concert. I would assume that the concert's not going to be a total wash, but they had mentioned on their social media that they were really sorry. They knew a lot of people came in to see Tool. They were really sorry about the weather. Of course, they don't address anywhere on their site anything about there being an issue with as far as the traffic situation or amenities, none of that kind of stuff. None of that's mentioned at all. But they did say that they were actually looking to try to refund Saturday, since literally the 4 biggest bands that were on the ticket was not able to go. But that's pretty much all I'm finding is they even mentioned it all.
Right, and that's only for people who bought one-day tickets. That's
Really?
not for people that are all weekenders. Yeah, that's what I read. It was only just half for the people who bought one-day tickets. So I guess $1 tickets, they'll be getting 50 cents back.
Right, exactly. And so as a VIP, not only did you pay for VIP privileges, but you also paid for all 3 days, and people who bought one-offs are actually going to get a refund, at least as the way it appears now, versus you not getting shit.
So far, now we'll see, because I have heard from some of the people that I'm in this group with, a bunch of metalheads that go to these things, that PayPal, if you bought your tickets through PayPal was really good about refunding the money, because PayPal usually sides with the consumer versus the merchant.
Yeah, and I know with with most situations, usually they do side with the consumers first, and then the merchant has to prove services rendered, which I don't know if DWP would actually be able to prove that their services were rendered. Maybe if it was a weather situation, that wouldn't be such a big deal, but it was obviously more than just a weather situation with everything like that. So how was obviously, this is something that we've talked about on our Route 91 podcast. There was the big shooting that happened here in Vegas from the gentleman at Mandalay Bay shooting into the Route 91 Country Festival. So anytime, we have any type of outdoor festivals, especially here in Vegas, surrounded by high rises, if you're on the Strip, we're very cautious. So you're in the middle of the field. How was the security there?
With the parking, the security Friday night was non-existent. There was no one helping us in or out of the venue on Friday night. There were no lights. The only lights we had were coming from the other vehicles trying to get in and out. There were a few, people trying to help us, but those were, concert goers. Those were, there was nothing they can do as far as trying to get us in and out. It just took too long. When we got to the venue, we kind of thought that we were going to be, maybe searched a little bit more. We had our belongings in the recommended, size and mesh bags, clear bags. You can't have anything over a clutch size purse. We let them look through it, and which was, they just looked at it. Okay. But I was not wanded any day that I went there. All 3 days they let me walk in, scan my wristband, and nobody, physically checked me at all.
Did they have wands?
Oh yeah, they were standing there and they were talking about it, but nobody actually did it.
Okay. All right. So
I understand that these were volunteers. I'm not sure that anybody that was helping park us or helping search us or helping us in any capacity, I'm not sure they were actually getting paid. They kind of seemed like they were locals, just, kind of hanging out and enjoying, getting a free ride to the concert.
And that's very interesting too, because one of the things that we had spoken about in our previous dissecting rock festivals is that often when a production company of the festival rents out the venue, part of the venue rental fee and everything is actually paying for the staffing that is doing security and checking, parking people and taking tickets and all that kind of stuff. So that's just crazy. So I guess the ultimate question is, would you do this again?
For $1, probably. But I probably wouldn't pay. The best thing about the VIP tickets were the bathrooms. The bathrooms were as promised. They were air conditioned and they were lighted.
Were they clean?
They were clean and
Okay.
fully stocked with paper towels and soap, and they were as advertised. The bathrooms were the biggest hit of the VIP weekend. Not having to navigate the porta potties in the dark and the rain and all that kind of stuff. But for $1, I'm a veteran and I love these festivals and I love my bands. Hell yeah, I'd navigate a porta potty in the dark to see Tool.
Would you pay full price, a full day price, $149 as it stands to go see per day or one day or just for all 3 days?
I probably would, because that's what we do for our bands.
Yeah.
We have to go see. It's a compulsion. We have to go see them. They are a part of our lives, but I budget for it and I try to make it work, but I have to go see my bands. That's what my life is. I love them.
So thank you so much, Marianne, for talking to me and giving me such a nice tie-in to the previous episodes that we've done from somebody that was there. They are calling Epicenter the Fyre Festival of the South, but I mean, from the hot mess that was the Fyre Festival, I think that obviously in retrospect, Epicenter could have done a whole bunch of different things better, which they did not, but I don't know if I would take it as far as the Fyre Festival. I want to also remind all our listeners that our book, Finance is the Other F Word, is available on Amazon. So you can pick that up. 10% of all net proceeds go to Forgotten Not Gone, to combat veteran suicide, and Paws, providing animals with support, saving cats and dogs set to be euthanized and getting them adopted. And as always, you can follow us on our social media at Finance is the Other F Word, and at Twitter at Amped Cheddar, AMPEDCHEDDAR. Thank you guys for listening and have a great day.
See ya. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening. If you like us, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.